Welcome to The Dead Life. Here's world-renowned medium, Alison Dubois.
Welcome to The Dead Life. I'm Alison Dubois. Today you'll be hearing from Theresa Cheung, a well-known dream decoder who collaborates with scientists and neuroscientists to research consciousness. We're in for a crash course on dream decoding, which is perfect because the next 4 weeks in Virgo will no doubt bring on the weird dreams for us all. You can follow me on Instagram at Medium Allison, on my Facebook fan page, or on YouTube. I'll be seeing some of you at my live Scottsdale event at the McCormick on September 6th for your mediumship and life readings. Go to AlisonDubois.com for ticket information. September will bring us eclipse season, a great time to set your money and love intentions. Pick up a bottle of my intention setting vodka, Divination 22, at One Handsome Bastard in Scottsdale, or order a bottle at bigthirst.com or divination22.com. Well, Teresa, thank you for being here. I know it's late there. Are you in London?
I am. It's UK time, so it's kind of late evening, but I'm so excited to talk to you. Thank you for the opportunity.
It's honestly my pleasure. I'm really happy to have you here. I haven't had anybody on for dream decoding in a while, and I know that my followers just absolutely are fascinated by the symbolism behind dream decoding. But how did you become interested in it? How did you know that was something that you wanted to research?
Well, it's been my life, really. I was born into a family of mediums, psychics, astrologers. It was just how I grew up, sitting around the table talking about your dreams, your astrology signs. I was right at home.
Yes.
I was home educated as well. And then I went on to study theology and religion and dreaming in certain religions at King's College, Cambridge. And the rest is history, really. I've written book after book after book in this area. I am not a serial killer, but a serial author. A passion to mainstream dream work, and it's starting to happen. There's so many people now talking about their dreams openly without embarrassment. I mean, I do national dream decoding viewer call-ins for ITV This Morning over here in the UK on BBC Radio. And it's no longer sniggered at, Alison. It's wonderful. Because I feel that dreams are the door to everything, to personal, psychic and spiritual growth. Start with your dreams because it's the deep core of you, the unconscious. And if you don't understand that, the rest is all is kind of like the rest is not real. Understand your dream life first. You understand yourself, and then you can go on to all the other psychic tools and intuition and everything. Dream work for me is the door to everything. Personal, spiritual, psychic, in my humble opinion.
There used to be a show, I think it was on the Biography Channel. It was Dream Decoding, and I used to watch it. I was fascinated by it. You should pitch that in the UK. I think that would be really popular.
The UK is quite skeptical still. It is. And that's why I'm so surprised that I think it happened during the lockdown dream phenomenon where, people were going online and saying, I had this weird dream. What does it mean? That led to so much research into sleep and dreams because it was becoming a phenomenon that people were dreaming so vividly. But since then, really, I found that the mainstream is much more open to it. Whereas, because I've been writing books in this area for decades, but my publishers are always kind of a bit embarrassed. They never put any publicity into it. Yes, it was just kind of like, okay, these books, we put them out, but they were never like proud of them.
Right.
But it's only been really in the last 5 or 6 years, I'm sure you've noticed as well.
I think the younger generations coming up are making a difference because I talked to my friend Tom McMullen. He's an astrologer, and we see such a difference between boomers, Gen X, millennials, Gen Z in readings. Gen Z and millennials are so much more open than boomers, because he and I joke a Capricorn boomer's like our nightmare. That's like that. They don't often listen to what you're saying, a little agenda running. Virgo can be the same way, but the younger generations are definitely very into it. And I think social media is playing a part in that as well.
Absolutely. And as I said, I do try and work with scientists as well and psychologists in this area. So I think that's why I've been fortunate to have such longevity in my career as in publishing and now the media over here, because I do try and bring in all the studies. And research is so fascinating now because scientists still don't know why we dream.
It lends a lot of credibility to you, the fact that you do that.
They no longer dismissing them as random firings of the brain, which was the traditional scientific perspective for many, many decades. But more recently, they still don't know what dreams are. There's still many, many theories about what dreams are. But what the general consensus is, dream recall is good for you. And it's a sign of a very active, creative brain. And I don't want people to panic if they're going through periods of poor dream recall. It happens to us all and life gets stressful. But it is actually really, really amazing to wake up with a vivid dream on your mind, even if it's a shocking, toxic one, because it means that your inner world, your soul, is sending you a message in this wonderfully bizarre language that dreams uses of symbols, of metaphors and associations and puns. And it wants you to reflect more deeply about your current mindset. Because especially if the dream is a negative or doesn't feel that good, it's saying something in your current mindset is a roadblock. You need to shift that and course correct. Because if you carry on where you are right now, the future you're attracting isn't going to be positive, but you can change that. That's why I think dreams are actually a great manifesting tool, because they give you an opportunity to see where your unconscious beliefs truly are. Do you really believe in yourself? Do you really believe you're worthy, etc.? And if you don't, your dreams will highlight that and help you work on that, so that in your waking life, you can make shifts and changes to actually start genuinely believe that you are worthy. And I think dream work also is the most neglected manifesting tool, because manifesting is so popular at the moment.
Yes.
It swept the globe, as I'm sure you know. Like astrology as well. I love the fact that you love astrology so much, because one of my most popular books was the Element Encyclopedia of Birthdays, where I did a psychological, scientific, astrological profile for each day of the year.
I love it.
Yeah, and your birthday, because I gave a title, is the birthday of the idol. You're January the 24th, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Claire is the idol.
Oh,
and I'll send it to you afterwards to see if
I'd love that. That sounds fascinating.
Great, Alison Dubois. I'm daring to do that. But that book, actually, it came out in 2007, hugely popular, and it was people would take it to parties, and I got messages from companies saying they were hiring people based on the profiles. It was incredible.
You know what? That can be helpful. That's no joke. I look at people's birthdays and charts if I'm going to hire someone as well. I do.
Well, yeah, the birthday. I mean, that's all I did. It's just the birthday.
Right.
And I brought in the numerology, the tarot, the astrology, the color associations, but also the seasonal science. What research says about people born in June or July. So I tried to mix and mash it all and create a profile. So anyway, you're the birthday of the idol.
Oh, well, very cool. I'll take it. I know that I share a birthday with Neil Diamond and John Belushi.
Really?
Yeah.
The power of birthdays, when you think, wasn't it Stephen Hawking died on the same day that Einstein was born? The power of the day. Certain sportsmen, we're very popular football over here, Messi, Neymar, two huge football stars born on the same day. Actresses, very similar in style, born on the same day. There's something in it.
There's absolutely true.
The energy of the day you were born.
I have a question for you that I was curious about. I've had, because I'm a trauma specialist, I deal with people, murder, suicides that I bring through, and a lot of the darker, heavier instances and crimes. A lot of people that I've talked to, and I think I know the answer to this, but I wanted to see what the professional would say, is when someone in their family is murdered, for instance, and then they start dreaming that their husband will be murdered or another family member will be murdered. And it's very graphic and very detailed. And I get these panic DMs or emails from people all the time worrying about that. And I think I know the answer, but could you share with the listeners why they may be projecting or superimposing the other murder on top of someone who's still alive?
Because it's the brain's way, the dreaming mind's way of helping you release this tension. It's cathartic, but it's also it's expressing the anxiety and the fear that you need to face. You want answers, and your dreaming mind is role playing various scenarios for you to help you get up close and personal with this awful, awful truth that has happened in your life, and to help you deal with it. Your dreaming mind is always trying to help you deal with difficult issues in your waking life. A lot of people worry when they have dreams like that they're precognitive, that they're going to play out.
Right.
Now, I've done a lot of research into precognitive dreaming. I actually spent the last 12 years doing it. I've collaborated with Dr. Julia Mossbridge on the premonition code, looked at people exploring precognitive dreams. And I've kind of come to the conclusion now that I think every dream has a precognitive element. This is very different to how I started off with my dream work, when I thought it was very much psychological and self-help. I actually do think that dreams can play out, but it is a potential future. And what it's saying, this is a potential future. You've got to shift your mindset, right? Unless you want to attract that future. So if you are having these kind of very dark dreams and you're worried they're going to play out, what I suggest to people to do is, first of all, write them down. Because the only way actually to know if a dream is precognitive is, sadly, with hindsight.
Right.
It's no good saying after the event. You need to date and time it. You need to think like a scientist when you're doing that. So to write it down, talk to people if you're worried and think, I've had a dream and I think it's going to play out. I think it's telling me something. Talk to people. Then you've got to let it go, because there's nothing else you can do. If it is
for me, I can tell the difference between processing anxiety in a dream or premonitions. For me, carry a different energy. And
is premonition sort of more matter of fact?
Yes.
That it's more sort of like, well, you wake up, well, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
There's no kind of like,
it's a sense of knowing.
Yeah. Whereas anxiety and cathartic dreams, you're absolutely right. You wake up with a heart racing. There's a vivid emotional imprint.
Right.
These psychic dreams, telepathic, afterlife, precognitive, literal dreams, if you want to use that term, you're right. From the people I've spoken to, and for myself, when dreams are played out, I just wake up with a knowing, and it's just like, this is going to happen.
And I've talked to mothers who have held their newborn babies and had a wave of fear come over them, and they know that child's not going to grow to be old. Like, they know they're going to have a short life, and then that does play out. But I hear that a lot from mothers when I bring through usually their sons, but their children from suicides, that they had this sense in the hospital when the child was born that the child wasn't going to be here. And
but it's only in hindsight that you can actually know when you can only know when a precognition is a precognition when it actually happens.
The difference for me is that sense of knowing. Like, because I do it regularly, and I think for people out there that have that ability as well, they'll understand what I'm saying when I say a sense of knowing. When inside it absolutely 100% resonates, this is going to happen. That's something you have to absolutely follow up with. If it's something where there's a flying unicorn in the dream, probably not so much. So you start to learn the difference, the nuances, the difference between the two.
Is it true as well for you that with a psychic dream, that there's more of a storyline, a beginning, middle, and end, whereas cathartic, stress relief, problem-solving dreams tend to be like music videos, like fragments?
So for me, because of what I do is so dark, and it's just how I'm wired to deal with murder, suicides, it's just where I live. Unlike medium, most of my information comes through while I'm awake. So Normally, I love it when I don't dream. I'm actually really happy. I'm like, awesome.
You
That was
still are
great.
dreaming. It's just
I'm happy.
not
But
recorded.
I had a dream years ago, and it was my middle daughter, and she dies in this dream, and like I'm trying to get to her, and I don't get there in time, which is a dream I've had my whole life. I've got a savior complex, and I ended up being someone that worked missing children's cases. So made sense. But she was also graduating, and I knew it meant that it was the death of her as my little girl, of my child. And so I was able to construct that and understand it. But if I was just a layman out there, that might freak me out a little bit more than
Yeah.
it did.
Yeah, unless you understand, and you do a bit of dream work and read books about dream interpretation, you understand the symbolism of death is very common in dreams because it's such an easy way and for the dreaming mind to showcase the power of endings. But within every ending, there's a new beginning, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this dream when my son moved to Arizona, actually, to go and live and train to be a pilot. I dreamt that he was in a car crash. But I woke up knowing that it was basically a phase had ended.
Uh-huh. It's hard, isn't it? As a
I
mom,
just knew he was not going to come back. But he's always, he was born in America because I lived in America when he was born. He's always felt called. And it's quite funny, actually, because I always told him metaphorically, to grow wings. He's done it literally. He took my angel talk too far. But
you must be so proud of him, though. That's a big deal. That's fantastic.
I do have lots of dreams where he's injured, and it's letting go because
it's your fear too.
Yeah,
your fear is playing out. Our maternal anxiety and fear.
But when you go to university or college, they often have these dreams about their children dying or getting ill or not being able to find them. And I get many messages about that because my biggest selling title, which I guess I'm most well known for, is the Element Encyclopedia of Dreams, which I did an A to Z of thousands and thousands of dream symbols.
Is that available like on Amazon? Like, where can people find that? Because I know my listeners are like, I want that book. I want to look up my dreams.
Oh, well, it was published actually in 2006 and it's still in print. Barnes & Noble, Costco in the US. It's mainly Waterstones in the UK, and it keeps getting reissued. And sometimes they ask me to update some entries. I'm very proud of that book. But also I wrote it when I was much younger. And I don't know if you have that when you do things younger and you look back and think that was very young.
I do.
I'd like to correct myself, but it still stands. It's the universal and common interpretation. I always tell people, and my publishers hate me when I say this, that the best dream dictionary you can ever read or buy is the one you write yourself, because the personal association is key. I love dogs and animals, and if I dream of them, it tends to mean unconditional love, loyalty. But if someone fears dogs or is anxious around them, if a dog appears in a dream, I'll have the opposite interpretation. Always go for the personal one first, because your dreaming mind uses your personal symbolism. But then if you're a bit stuck, dream dictionaries and online resources are good because they kickstart that ancient symbolic thinking that we all had in times past when we were able to look beneath the material. Mm-hmm. I think in the world today now where everything's on the surface and people look at the material. And when you do dream work, you have to learn a new language because dreams speak a different language because you're in a different state of consciousness. So you've got to learn how your dreams speak. Because if you went to another country, you'd learn the language to understand the culture. You need to do the same with dreams. And it's simply, I always use the example of poetry. When you were at school and your teacher gave you a poem and you read it and that doesn't make sense. But then you were taught techniques like metaphor, pathetic fallacy. I love that when nature sort of sets the scene, or association, alliteration, assonance, punning. Dreams use that.
Or you get older and then it makes sense to you because you have more life experience.
Absolutely. But approach each dream as if it was a work of art or poetry and look beneath the surface. Don't take it literally, just peel away. And it's a wonderful way actually to approach your waking life, because once you get good at understanding dream symbolism, you start approaching your waking life in the same way. And nothing is quite what it seems. And you look beneath the surface. And that's when life starts getting magical. when you see there's so much that lies beneath, that's unseen and unspoken. And that's where the real magic in life is, and what is unseen, isn't it?
What does water and drowning symbolize?
Drowning, it's emotional overwhelm, isn't it? I mean, water in dreams is emotion. It's the unconscious. And if you have dreams of drowning, it means you're feeling emotionally overwhelmed with a situation. But think about what's happening in the dream. Do you manage to breathe underwater, which shows that you're coping? How are you experiencing this underwater world? You have to look at what's your emotion when you're in the water. Because some people say they're drowning, but they're actually not panicking. They're kind of just observing it.
Right.
Your dreaming mind's saying, look, hey, you've got this. Things are tough at the moment, but you're going to be okay. I always think of the dreaming mind as a kind of like a friend, a helper, an inner therapist. It's always trying to raise us up. Some people don't understand, though, that sometimes it uses shocking tactics and tough love to do that.
Yeah.
The simple reason you've probably been waking up for a long time and not been paying attention to your dreams because they've been too gentle, too subtle.
That's true.
So it sends you a great stonking nightmare.
Yeah.
A serial killer attack. And vampire. You're not going to forget that. You're going to reflect on it and think, what the hell did that mean?
I think my dreams might be a little different than most people. So I've been dreaming about vampires and serial killers since I was 7 and trying to save people. So it's just the work I do. I think that was just part of who I am. And I was being primed to want to grow up to help save victims. And so I think that's what that was. But my mom did not like hearing about my dreams when I was a little girl. Let's just say. She was like, what are you watching? I'm like, nothing. It's just my dream. I don't know.
You're being primed. Absolutely. But your dreams reflect your waking life, your interest in waking life. People think you're different when you're awake and you're asleep. You're not the same person.
Right.
You just entered into a different state of consciousness. You're you 24/7.
Right.
Dreams comment on your waking life. And actually, when you get more into dream work, you realize that your waking life is also commenting on your dreams. And it's just this continuous narrative and understanding both.
So can you, people ask me about this a lot, and I try and be very clear with them, the difference between a dream or a visit from someone who actually died. Can you do you study that with the neurologists?
I do. A night vision is what I call them. I like to call them night visions when you've had an afterlife dream. I've had that when my mother passed. I was, devastated.
I'm
tried
sure.
Grief therapy for, and it was only a dream visitation when she just appeared. And she didn't really notice me in the dream. She just sort of went into my bedroom and tidied up clothes in the dream. But when I woke up, I just had this understanding that death ends a life, not a relationship, that I maybe hadn't sensed properly before. A dream really helped me feel that. I think when you have those kind of dreams, you wake up, contrary to what people may think, you don't panic because they're not, you don't regret that they're not alive anymore. They're departed, but you have a tremendous sense of comfort that that they're still alive somewhere within and around you.
So was your mom showing you? Because I find that the dead will do this in dreams. She was like folding your clothes and tidying up. Yeah. She was saying, I'm still taking care of you. Yeah. Like I'm still there. And I love that.
I believe also that she saved my life on one occasion.
I'm sure. I have no doubt.
I believe that. And I mean, I've worked with psychologists studying afterlife dreaming at the University of Northampton, interviewed them many times. And what they say, and I think it's over 90% of cases, people who are bereaved and do have an afterlife dream, whether they believe it's a visit or not, it's remarkably therapeutic for their grieving journey. It really helps them, as I say, come to this understanding that life goes on, death ends a life, not a relationship. So whether you believe it's a visit or not, I happen to believe it is, the research doesn't lie. It's a very healing experience.
And that's what matters. So no matter what people want to debate or argue when it comes to it, is it real? Is it not real? If it's helping somebody to heal through their grief, we can all agree it's a good thing. It's a positive thing. I've read, I can't even count how many widows and widowers over the last 25 years. And they describe wanting to pull the person out of the dream because it's so real that they're touching their husband or that their husband's kissing them and they're holding each other, that when they wake up, it's almost a panic of wanting to get back to sleep so they can be with them again, because it was that palpable. It was that real. They could feel them. They could taste, the lip gloss on their wife, or it's amazing.
I've collected so many of those stories. A dream is more powerful than 1,000 realities. It's often attributed to Tolkien that there's debate, but that's such a beautiful, it is. Dreams can feel so real, and they are real. Who's to say they are not real?
Well, and it's how the dead can communicate with us more easily. And I was studied by scientists for 4 years at the University of Arizona, and they write books on you and do all that and whatever. But after that, I'm like, you're not giving me answers. I'm gone. Peace out. So that was it. But I paid my dues. But I was just realizing that with bringing people through, and there were actual warnings in some of them from those people, or they would say it's not your time when they're unconscious in a coma, and they push them back and say, you have to go back. And I believe these are all very real experiences. I believe the people are there, and they can only access what a medium has in their head as far as information. I know that, which you sort of preluded to earlier, symbols that they will access in you for other means of communication. I think it's the same with the dead. But it was interesting with sleep being what you're studying, because mine was done while I was awake. But
most precognitions happen, I think, over 95% in the dream state, because
you're easier to access, right? You're not distracted.
Yeah, because you're so highly sensitive and attuned to this. Obviously, this is your gift, and this is what you do. This is who you are. What you're born here to do. You also, are when your eyes are wide open, not just wide shut. That it happens. It is much rarer. It's easier to study dream precognitions and dream afterlife experiences, because these waking ones are so hard to study because they're spontaneous.
I had to be able to do it on command. And so I think part of it was being trained in the laboratory to do the most difficult circumstances for a reading, where I had to, the scientists would ask a question to the dead, the deceased that they wanted to talk to, without telling me who that person is. And I had to answer the question without knowing what the question was. So that was one of the tests that I did. And I did, but I was young. I was in my 20s. So I was just proud of myself. It was like winning a game. I didn't realize how big a deal that was. But I have learned over the years, the dead always say they come through when people sleep, mostly because we're distracted by children. We're distracted by the mess in our house. We're distracted by work, and they can't get our attention. And they're already fighting our natural ability of wanting to question if it's real. So they're fighting all these hurdles to try and get a message through to you. And we are so difficult as people in the physical world. We make it so hard on them. So when we're asleep, they work very hard to try and come through to us. And I try and teach my clients how to remove some of the barriers. And I call it lowering the wall of pain that protects the living when they're grieving, that is impenetrable. We can lower that when they sleep if they do I have a certain 3-step process so that they're in the right mindset when they go to sleep, and they're more likely to have that visit. But it is that the dead often say we're almost impossible to access while we're awake. but
Yeah.
I'm really good at fine tuning it, or I couldn't do live events. So I guess I'd be napping on stage, right? Who wants to see that? So where can people find you, and what do you have coming up?
Well, I've written so many books. I said, if you want to go into the Theresa Cheung universe, there's a lot out there, but I'm best known for my Dream Dictionary A to Z. My Dreaming of the Future has just been reviewed by the Society for Psychical Research, a really amazing review. I've actually written my debut novel, Nightborn, which is actually, the reason I wrote that was to teach people about dreaming through the medium of a story, because I'm trying to always mainstream dream work, because I think it's the key, as I say, to personal, spiritual and psychic growth. So do check out Nightborn. Do support me, because my publishers weren't very supportive.
You guys heard her. Buy Teresa's book so that you can decode your dreams and help her to the next level. I don't know why a screenplay writer hasn't approached you and made something in UK based on some of what you've written in your books. I think that's a no-brainer, but what do I know?
Wikipedia, which is a massive tome by HarperCollins, that I have had people writing to me that, because I did hauntings, A to Z of very famous hauntings, and through history, some of them have used that to write books and whatever it has been. As I said, I've been around a long time, since the late 90s. You can find my books and encyclopedias at www.theresachung.com. But if you want to have a chuckle, and not just at my bad writing, but Nightborn, which is my vision for a better world through dreams. It's quite a controversial approach I've taken about what would happen if somebody had control of the dreaming mind and was able to implant ideas. And so I have great fun writing that. It's called Nightborn. But I have many other books out. I have the Akashic Records just came out with Octopus, and next year Twin Flames, and then a book about extreme dreaming. I'm going through the dark side of dreaming, nightmares. There's a lot, actually. And I have a podcast too, and I'm a radio host, UK Health Radio Plus.
And do you have a Instagram for all of that?
Do, at the Theresa Cheung, although I do it myself, and I'm not, there's only so many hours in a day. It's very homemade.
That's fair.
So yeah, I just do it myself. So I
well,
don't.
They're going to come find you and check out your work. You're very credible in what you do. And I love that I'm not the only person on the planet on a pilgrimage to get answers. So thank you. Thank you for being a partner in crime there. Thank you for enlightening us, Teresa. And thank you to my listeners. Tune in next week for a fresh episode of The Dead Life. I'm Allison Dubois. This is The Dead Life. And to all of my believers out there, don't stop believing.
Join us next week on The Dead Life. And don't forget to subscribe now to get notified of every new episode.